At this time, I said hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another decided edition of the program, Ashford Garley Live, on this beautiful Monday night as we come to you from Detroit. It feels great to be back home. I know some heard the name, some heard people talk about them. Oh, man. Very shortly, we're going to introduce to you Mr. George LOBBO. He's our special guest tonight. And we're going to see if we can connect with Mrs. Lexi Brooks Rabbits as well. She's also in the building from Information Highway. And folks, as always, how was your weekend? You might just want to please share the video, invite a few friends so that we can together have a great time tonight as we come to you from Detroit. Oh, man, as always, it feels great to be back home. This is yours truly, the brother who doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than the lion. And I'm telling you, that's the voice, the golden voice of Liberia. And folks, I'm telling you, just invite a few friends so that we can together have a blast. All right. The medicine of the microphone is. Take time out to say hi to Paul and Ben. Paul, how are you? I hope everything is okay with you tonight. Musa Sharif, Esther Cunnan, James Blumbold, Juanito Say, Tali Jaffa Bolo, Paul GM Tida is also in the building tonight. Erasmus Pupo Ciclo is also here, folks. Now, don't be selfish tonight, okay? Invite a few friends, tell friends, relatives, and loved ones to join us tonight as well. Massa Riggs is in the building. Franklin Malia, Sumana Ability, Martha Dokid, Ralph P. Williams, and the rest of the crew in the building tonight. Folks, I'm telling you, you are in for a big treat. Let's have fun. all right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to say a big welcome to another exciting edition of the program, Ashford Garley Live. It feels great to be back as always. Today's the 10th of August, 2020. And of course, as always, coming at you on a Monday night is a good thing. And tonight we have with us an executive of the Unity Party, the USA, Mr. George P. Lobo. And as soon as we get signal from him, excuse my French, we're going to introduce to you Mr. George Lobo. And let me just give you a little bit of gist of what you are going to see for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, we're going to play host to Mr. Wilbert Yancey. Uh, Wilbert Yancey is a businessman turned politician. He wants to be the next senator of Maryland County. And Mr. Yancey will be in our studio tomorrow night. And you might just want to plan to listen then to see what this brother has in store for the people of Liberia and, of course, the people of Maryland County. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. George P. Lobo. As always, Mr. Lobo, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, ASHFORD GARLEY. It's a privilege to be here with you today. I want to say once again, it's a great time.
Mr. Lobo, are you there?
I'm hearing you loud and clear. You hear me now?
You might just want to please
Are you hearing me?
check your.
No, I'm loud and clear.
Hold on, let me make some type of adjustment yet. I don't know. Mr. Lobo, are you there now?
Yeah, I'm still here, ASHFORD. I'm getting loud and clear.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Again, we're having some type of audio problem. Let me see. Do we make some type of adjustment here to see if we can get Mr. Lobo. Okay, Mr. Lobo, Mr. George Lobo. Don't go away. Georgie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm loud and clear. You getting me now?
I thought we had George earlier, you know. He sounded good. Folks, can you hear Mr. Lobo? But if you can hear Mr. Lobo, just tell me yes, folks. But George,
Yeah,
you can hear me, correct?
Yes, I can hear you. The folks can hear me very clear.
I just had Mr. Lobo earlier. For some reason, I can't say they can hear him, but what I can hear this do? Georgie.
I can hear you, ASHFORD. I can hear you loud and clear. You call me Georgie just now.
Yeah, but I can hear him. Now, it's not going to work if I can't hear the brother, you know, at least.
Yeah, I need you to hear me.
If he can hear me, I don't know what I can hear him, you know, because I'm the one going to be asking the questions. And I've got to be able to hear him, you know. Again, Georgie, are you there?
I'm loud and clear.
Jesus.
Do you want me to go out and come back in?
What's going on tonight? Folks, please bear with me. I'm going to do some type of. Georgie, hello.
Just now. You want me to go back out?
You know what? This is what we're going to do. I'm going to have to see if fact you can do something special for this to be able to. Okay, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to. Okay, I can hear him. He asking whether he want to go back out. No, don't do that. Just to report. Well, anyway, George, welcome to the show, but man, how was the weekend?
As for the weekend was it was okay. As you know, in the state of Arizona, we've been dealing with a very serious death of one of our own. So this weekend we'll be laying the body to rest finally. So I can't say the weekend was great, but I'm grateful that with all the COVID number, we are okay.
Now, George, let me just give you 2 minutes to give us your opening statement.
As for I want to say thank you very much. I want to take this time to say thanks to all Liberians who have tuned in this It's in the afternoon in my state. Wherever you are, I want to say thank you very much for taking up time from your busy schedule to join this conversation this afternoon. As we all know, our country is at a crucial junction. While more Liberians continue to live below the poverty line, as government continues to do nothing to improve the living standard of our people, while many Liberians are suffering, the increase of violence, the increase of rape, violence against women, under the leadership of the man who is supposed to be the unifier, this is something that is unacceptable. And as a Liberian and as a member of the opposition, with a crucial election pending, we are here to make this case once again to the Liberian people. Why the CDC is bad for Liberia, why Georgia is the terrible mistake that was made by Liberians. And we are going to make the case here once again so that come December 8th, that the CPP will be victorious and will win nothing less than 11 seats. And that's why I'm here this evening. Good afternoon to you all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lobo. Now, there were a lot of things that happened at the weekend, and I want you to please tell us what is your position about the ADD and what happened in Claratown.
Mr. Garley, a couple of things. According to initial information reaching us, Senator Dillon had gone to Claratown with his team and bunch of CDC hooligans and thugs. As you all may not know, now since 2005, the way in which I've defined the CDC have been different. I've defined the CDC as the Center for Disgruntled Children, and that definition, definitely, the CDC continues to justify that definition as the Center for Disgruntled Children. The CDC, even when they were in the opposition, we know that these have been their normal attributes. The culture of violence is one upon which the party feels that she can insert herself as this forceful organization. What we have said to the CDC is that violence is not what we want in Liberia. As you know, Liberians are just recovering after 14 years of civil war. We are here making a case for the establishment of a war council. And to see seditions, to see a government instigating, perpetrating violence against peaceful Liberians. A government that is responsible to provide a free movement of all Liberians, to protect Liberians. When we see hooligans and thugs of the government, surrogates of the government, instigating violence against oppositions, regardless of what party you come from, this is unacceptable. So what happened to Darius Dillon must be condemned by all Liberians. And as a member of the opposition, this is not something we take lightly. We condemn it in the strongest possible terms. And the most unfortunate thing, Mr. Garley, George Weah was elected on the promise that he was a unifier, that this man loved the country so much, that this man is a man of peace. President Weah continues to market himself as a man who stands for unity, but unfortunately, what he's demonstrating, what his hooligans and thugs in his party continue to demonstrate, does not indicate that this government is interested in promoting peace and reconciliation in that country. What we are saying is that a country like Liberia that is struggling, and we are concerned about improving the living standard of our people, the last thing we want in Monrovia is a system of violence to erupt in that country. And I think that's what President Weah is trying to do. But as members of the opposition, we are matured in that. We will not allow the Center for Disgruntled Children to drag us down that path. We'll continue to be calm, to be resolute. That does not mean we are afraid, but we reject and condemn the CDC action this weekend. This is not the first time, ASHFORD. Since the inception of this government, violence has been the normal thing. We can trace their history from Dallas, the Cornelio Crowds campaign in district number 13. We can look at district number 15. We can look at the beating of 102 at their party headquarters. We can look at what happened to Mo Ali at the National Elections Commission. This has been a continuous act of the CDC hooligans. And it is about time that George Weah knowing where we came from. He should be able to demonstrate what he's preaching on the pulpit. And as a man of peace, he should be able to show that to Liberian people. It is disheartening and so frustrating. And that is our position. We condemn it. And the Liberian people know that come December, this government, no matter how much they try to do, the people won't give them this chance. The CDC is the late, it's the former ruling party. And that is what we are prepared to do. Come 2023, we'll conclude that conversation. And that's our position as opposition.
Now, Mr. Lobo, why this president is so quiet on most of the things that people want him to speak about, especially the stuff you just alluded to in Claritown. You know, that I mean, the more he speaks out, the better it will be for his partisans and for the country overall.
Mr. Garley, let me say one thing to you very clear. I will quote my Senator Ambassador Boakai. Ambassador Boakai said, "You never give a man's job to a boy," and that is exactly what is happening. We told the Liberian people in 2005 that George Weah was never prepared, that the CDC as an institution was not built on any kind of a sustainable developmental agenda, was not built on any kind of sustainable platform to be able to transform the life of our people. And so at this particular point in time, asking George to speak, a man who could not go to a debate, that is one of the most embarrassing things. But as a president, he needs to understand that he bears responsibility for whatever will happen under his watch. Now, he can remain silent as much as he wants to. Whatever happens during his reign, under his administration, President Weah bears the full responsibility. Being silent does not exclude the president from what is transpiring in the country, because as far as we are concerned, we know how the CDC operates. There's nothing that has been instigated without the hierarchy's involvement. This has been an attempt by CDC officials to be able to intimidate opposition political party members, which of course we will not be deterred by those actions. And so President Weah can either stand up, man up, and take the right stand to lead Liberia or vacate the presidency. President Weah can do the country the honorable favor and resign if he knows he cannot deliver to the Liberian people. If he's not the president who is able to communicate with his people, I think George Weah should do the right thing now and don't waste the country's time and just resign. This will be the best thing he can do for himself. Because even if we get George 50 years from now, it just means more Liberians will get into poverty. The country will just continue to deteriorate as it is, at the rate at which it's deteriorating. So George can do us a favor. Put all these expenditures out, stop wasting resources, step down like example of what the cabinet did in Burkina Faso, in that of in Mali. You will not be the first. Save the country, George Weah. If you truly love that country, you cannot deliver as a president. It is clear. This is out of your reach now. And that is our position at this point.
Now, Mr. Lobo, you are so passionate when it comes to Ambassador Joseph Human Boycott, you know, and you have the full collaborating political parties, but yet you kept saying the next president of Liberia is JMB. JMB is going to be in the executive mansion. Why JMB in 2023, Mr. Lobo?
Ashford, thank you for that question. Very, very, very simple. Let me make one thing very, very clear tonight, like I've always done. I want people from the ANC, the LP, the ALP, to also know that they have the constitutional right to say that their standard bearers or their political leader should be president. That is every member of the CPP's right. Now, as a member of the Unity Party, it will be unprofessional, and as an executive member, for me to be here and be defending another standard bearer. As far as I'm concerned, actually, that in the CPP, we as Unity Party partisans, we are committed to winning the nomination in the CPP and subsequently going to defeat the CDC because we are come. Now, not only that, the question of why Ambassador Boyka is very simple. Ambassador Boyka brings to the table wisdom, experience, dedication, understanding of the political problems in our country. Not only that, Ambassador Joseph Numa Boyka is one of Liberia's finest public servants. I do not judge people based on sentiments, opinions, uh, because in Liberia, what we have done is that we prosecute every Liberian in a court of public opinion, not in a court of competent jurisdiction. And as far as I'm concerned, the Constitution makes it very clear that everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty. On the basis of that, until something else can happen, Ambassador Boyka remains our standard bearer. Ambassador Boyka remains the most experienced candidate in the CPP. And Ambassador Boyka is the standard bearer of the Unity Party. Ambassador Boyka is a man who has committed 30 plus years of his life to public service. And I think the best thing anybody can give to his country is through public service. And if you have any allegations of Ambassador Boyka, of any corruption at this time he was serving in government, bring it to the fold, bring it to the table, and I'll be glad to listen to you. But in the absence of that, what many people want me to do is to join them in speculations to prosecute Ambassador Boyka not on the basis of fact. And because of that, we said no to that, and we remain committed to where we stand. And until that can be done, Mr. Barry, uh, Ambassador Boyka is a humble man. He's a man who believes in his country. He's passionate. He has demonstrated that, and throughout his 12 years, let me just say something for a little bit here today. The other day, the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, Madam Joy Howard Taylor, was on Spoon TV. I think Liberians need to begin to listen to some of these people. Madam Taylor said, and I quote, she said, Ambassador Boyka was able to do more than I have done. And let me clarify something. Many people misquote what our Senator Barrow said. Ambassador Boyka said, and I quote, he said, I was a race car parked in a garage. Now, many people take it out of context. If you understand what a race car is used for, a race car is supposed to be on a track. That's what he meant. You know, sometimes you got to look, you got to understand the context in which he spoke. But I think the CDC saw what happened this gone Saturday when he arrived in Kakata. I think Liberians overwhelmingly support our senator. And that is the business upon which some of us have been very committed to not resting until we see Joseph Numa Boyka delivers Liberia come 2022. And that is why I support him. Ashford, I think the feedback is from Ashford and not my end. If the people are saying there's too much feedback, it's from your end in studio.
Okay. Now, what do you make of a lot of folks who are saying age is the factor here with the Ambassador Boyka? We understand that he has wisdom. We understand that he has experience, but they are saying, you know, that for the length of time he has been in politics, I think he ought to just retire and become some type of political advisor to the younger ones. What do you make of that claim?
Mr. Garley, let me say very clear to you. I think the argument of age, those political pundits and surrogates of other political parties who are afraid of our Senator Barrow, that is to tell you that they have nothing concrete against him. It is unfortunate to see that age have not been the campaign have been reduced to the issue of age. But let me help Liberia. The economy of Ghana was not the fastest growing economy until Nana Addo Kufuor took over in Ghana. The last time I checked, Nana Addo Kufuor is now 70. It's not 70 years old. Not only that, many of those who criticize Ambassador Boyka based on age, they live in the Western world. Next, for example, here in America, we have Joe Biden who's contesting the presidency. He's 77 years old. So, if the issue of age is the argument, And let's look at what we have in Liberia. We have a young, energetic, vibrant president at the age of 53 years old. And what has he done then? If that is the case, the older lady, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, achieved more in her first 6 months than George we have accomplished in his entire 2 years. So definitely the issue of age was defeated. And let me say to our opponents, if you make the campaign of 2023 to be on the issue on the basis of age, I can assure you that I will tell Ambassador Walker to go to Foya and go eat Panja Kuba while we defeat you, because the Liberian people made it clear in 2017 that his age was not of a priority. They believe in his wisdom, they believe in his judgment, they believe in his ability to lead. And so we're not going to give credence into that if people believe that age is the argument. We can look at George Weah, who's 53 years old. We can also look at Jefferson Kobe, who's less than 40 years old. We can go on with Alvin Wisse, and there's so many other young people in government who have not been able to perform. So I don't think at this particular point in time the issue of age should be our argument. Our argument should be based on qualification, experience, commitment, dedication, passion, willingness to serve in their country. I think that is the argument we should be making. That would be the best thing for us to do.
Okay, now, Mr. Lobo, tell us, what is the future of the Liberian economy under President Weah?
Mr. Garley is very, very simple. We can sit here and sell misbelief to our people. One thing I like about the CDC government, the government have done a very good job of painting a word that exists I refer to it as a fantasy word, which means it is one you imagine, you don't see it. The fact that you will see the Minister of Finance will use the pulpit of the church to carry on some slideshow to show how government is performing, that is not only pathetic, that tells you that the government have crumbled. The CDC government failed from the very first day it came to power. All the government have been trying to do is to tell the Liberian people that she's delivering. Any government that is actually doing well, ASHFORD GARLEY, won't need to go to the church and use the pulpit where the word of God should be preached to our people to make the case for our government. That is only a pathetic thing that the Minister of Finance. But on the issue of the economy, let's get to basic facts here, ASHFORD. When George Weah came into power, let's just take basic numbers here today. When President Weah came into power, the exchange rate was 125 to $1. Inflation was less than what it is today, way less. Since President Weah inception into power, we can look at, by the time we got to June, the exchange rate was 170. Today, the exchange rate right now is above 190. I think 2 something, according to what I learned this afternoon when I spoke to people. A gallon of gasoline today have exceeded over $500, which was $300 when President Weah came into office. A carton of fish that was 4,500 today is 8,000 plus. Some people in some places are now selling at 10,000. So the issue of the Liberian economy under George Weah is terrible. It's crumbled. This is not a myth. This government continued to record some of the largest budget shortfalls since independence in 1847. This is the only government that, since the inception of this government, don't quote me, let's quote lawmakers. Let's quote all the county officials. Every single lawmaker have made it clear that since the CDC government came to power, counties are no longer getting their county development funds, no longer getting their social development funds. This is not things that is being made up by the opposition. Not only that, let's look at hospitals across the country. Since the inception of this government, major hospitals are struggling. The Liberian government can no longer provide 100% subsidies for private religious hospitals to provide healthcare services to our people. Not only that, hospitals that were constructed during the previous regime, under this government today, some of them are going down. For example, we saw a $49,000 clinic in Bond County District Number 2. Those have been looted. Hospitals have been abandoned. We see hospitals like Phoebe Hospital struggling to even open their doors. So this is not something we have to sit here and predict. But let's look at some basic numbers we want to pay attention to. Since the inception of this government, what have happened? Consumer spending have dropped. It has fallen significantly. The cost of living have increased. Not only that, Inflation under this government have exceeded 25%, Mr. Nally. So this is not something we're making up. These are numbers that exist. And the ordinary Liberian is feeling the price, the price every day. If you want to prove me wrong, go and ask what was the price from Douala to Broad Street 2 years ago. And ask what is the price from Douala to Broad Street today. So go and ask what is the price for one cup of rice. While it is true the CDC government is going to try to create this fake reality, this false narrative by lying to our people that they are trying, let me tell you, fellow Liberians, don't be deterred by these things. Don't get carried away. The government continues to. Here's what the boys have decided to do. They say we know we can't be able to uplift people living standard. We can't transform this country. So let's make ourselves look relevant. As for all, you got to be honest, man. A government that borrows to take care of everything, the government is incapacitated. We expected in the first 1 year to see the government diversify the Liberian economy. We expected to see job creation. The government that said to us that in 5 years, she was going to be able to lift 1.5 million people out of poverty. And we did basic math and said, okay, if we did it and divide 1.5 million by 3, where would we be at? The government needed to create at least 5,000 jobs, 500,000 jobs every month. Mr. Garley, since the government came to power, I challenge any CDC government official that will appear on this show apart from me to tell you where the government have created 20,000 new jobs in the private sector. Nothing. All they do is to go on Facebook Live and bring out these false narratives, and they have their little fake agents selling falsehood to our people, pretending to listen, folks. A government that paved less than 1 kilometer mile road wants to be on Facebook and bluff about it. You can't lie to us. We told you diversify the Liberian economy. The financial institutions are struggling under this government. Banks have been liquidated every 2-3 months. One of the reasons why you have to be enrolled in an IMF program is because you have issue with balance of payment. That is a requirement. So to sit there and talk about how well this economy is going, under CDC and Mr. Garley, the economy is dead. I will use there was a guy from Uganda who said there's this one video I saw on Facebook. He said the economy is now sweet. So under the CDC government, the economy is just where. That's all I can tell you, because you don't have to ask me. The hardship have increased significantly. Our people are struggling on a daily basis. More, according to the IMF recent report, they said anywhere between 320,000 to 540,000 Liberians will be living below in addition to the ones that are there, will be moving below the poverty line. So I don't think this is something we need to dwell on too much. I just want to say the economy under George Weah, there's no hope for any kind of, it can't turn around. It's late. Let's go to the IMF and the World Bank. The IMF and the World Bank in 2019 spring meeting recommended to the Liberian government and told them that if you initiate or implement strong monetary and fiscal policies, that we will not see growth until 2024, Mr. Garley. The government didn't do nothing in 2019, so how can we see growth? I don't want to sit there and predict something that is not going to happen. Let the government take the action, then we'll speak to that. One thing I'll tell you, the economy under the CDC government is a natural disaster. That is all it is.
What? Now, Mr. Lobo, we have some of the practice when it comes to fixing the economy in Liberia. Why hasn't this president been able to tap into some of the smarter ones?
Mr. Garley, let me say this. Let me put my managerial hat on. You see, in management, they say the manager is responsible to coordinate all departments of the organization to make sure the organization achieves its goal. Not only that, it also says in management that the manager solicits voluntary participation from his subordinate by assigning great deal of responsibility. So that way they feel entitled, they feel part of the organization. Now let's put that context, let's apply that context to George Weah as a manager. One of the problems George has had since he came to power is that President Weah have not transitioned from being a CDC standard bearer to that of a president of the republic. for 4.5 million people. President Weah have not been able to sit down and say the previous government sent a lot of Liberians abroad. Some went to China, America, the UK, Australia to say, listen, you see, when we speak of resources in Liberia, Mr. Gali, many Liberians always, when I talk about resources, the first thing that comes to their mind, they think about the iron ore, the diamond, the gold, and that's it. But when we talk about resources for a country, the human capital resource of a country is the most important resources a nation can have. And what we have not done, we have not tapped into that resource. Now, for example, Mr. Gali, we have 28,000 ex-combatants in the streets. If this government knew what needed to be done, you can create a program of $10 million, put those young people into rehabilitation center, give them skills. In return, the government can be able to use them, whether it's in the area of agriculture, whether it's in the area of mechanic, plumbing, housing, anything, you name it. But when you have a government that lacks vision, this is what is happening to us. So now let me give you an example. Comrade Stephen Johnson graduated from Penn State. Waka Jaliba, Georgetown, so many other young Liberians in Liberia that could be able to offer solutions to address the economic problems the country is facing. But when you have a president who comes to power and say for him he's only a president for seditions and for the people of Grand Coup and Grangide and maybe Maryland and Steino, who becomes a regional president, it becomes a problem. And so the acquisition of skill, the acquisition of talent should be a priority of his government. Madame Sally went out fetching brightest minds. She brought in the best of the best. President Weah have said for him, people are not going to be brought in based on experience and qualification. People will be brought in based on how much battle cry they can raise, who can raise the loudest battle cry. So people, young men nowadays, they show up to the party headquarters. As soon as you say hello, everybody now in the country, they are militants. So people know that you no longer will be given the ability to perform based on a merit system, but based on your ability to go to the party headquarters. This is why we see young men, they are initiating themselves. Some are even sacrificing cows because they want recognition. They want jobs. So you as a president, you as a manager, you are the ones who's doing the hiring. You are the one who's doing the firing. If you hire the wrong people for your cabinet, I mean, you cannot get any kind of good performance when you are hiring the wrong people for the job. You cannot take a city that hosts 1.5 million people and give it to Mayor Koji, who never had a job in his life, and you expect him to deliver. This is why the man is pronouncing 173 and putting S. He's creating new words only in the CDC dictionary that seem to exist because one, he does not understand his function. So President Weah needs to sit down and say, listen, there are Liberians who are qualified, whether they come from the ALP, the ANC, or the Liberty Party, whether they took picture with Cummings, I don't care. As long as they are Liberians, I will give them the opportunity to come and serve their country. In the absence of that, it is his fault. That is why we are not going anywhere right now.
Now, Mr. Lobo, what do you make of the criticism that there's no opposition? Many are saying at night, most of the opposition political leaders will call President Weah and asking for favors. And in the day, they become opposition political leaders. As a matter of fact, of late, you have seen uh, political crossovers. We heard about Mac Jabatel, who is so frustrated. We also heard about this one tough talking young man that supported Senator Darius Dillon, Christmas Sele. They're all going to the ruling establishment saying that there's no opposition. The opposition are not serious. What do you make of the recent crossovers?
Mr. Gali, sometimes, I always say to people that I'm a Christian and I believe in the Bible. I respect the word of God. Let us just go back to biblical terms. When Satan left heaven and they said he was sent down, he painted a picture of something completely different. But every one of us want to go to heaven. When people leave, Mr. Gali, you have kids at home. Those of us who grew up in Africa, when you did something at home and they wanted to discipline you, what happened? Everywhere you ran, you would make a case and say something completely different. I say this to say to my two brothers, Mike and Dada for Christmas. If you want to go, I wish you all the best on this new journey. But the notion that there's no opposition in Liberia, that itself is funny. It's laughable. If you may not know, if you believe there's no opposition in Liberia, the Unity Party is what? So how did we go to election? Mr. Bali, I can't do it into what people think because in Liberia, the issue of idol worshiping, yes sir, muya muya, and the desperation for greatness pasture. People are looking for handouts. So you expect them to say some things, and we can't really give relevance and credence to it. But I want to be very, very clear. So those young men who are crossing over, you got to understand in the opposition, Mr. Gali, is very competitive. I would say any of them. If George Lobo marched to the CDC headquarters today to say I was going to join the CDC, it would be one of the greatest accomplishments of President we are in the entire party. Okay? But some of us won't do it. So you got to understand, the Mark Jabate in the opposition or in the CPD is competing against a guy like George Lobo, against young men like Lofa Julius, against the likes of the Henry Costa. There's so many of us in the opposition. So sometimes it's a guy, sometimes you go to the game, right? And players show up on camp. And you know that only 13 men, only the first 11 will start, 15 men jerseys being put down. Sometimes you look at yourself, you just go outside and tell your people, say, I'll be spectator. So, I mean, it's very, very clear. Yeah, in the CPB, the competition is bigger. So in the CDC, there's no competition there for them. So I think people are figuring this out for themselves and saying, you know what, I stand a better chance cashing in now, eating my lunch earlier before recess. So that's what it is. So you can't get mad at them. Let me say this, Mr. Gali. If you have to kill a cow to get recognized in a party, that itself should tell you that you're not important. Because people acquire assets. You don't go make sacrifices for people to come for you. No, that's not how it works. Or if you will have to go and be kneeling down for you to get initiated in all kinds of things and leave from the greatest country on earth, where unemployment a few months ago was less than 4%, and going to a country where people work 21 months and can't get paid, 9 months and can't get paid, and you going to get initiated because of some promise that they will give you a job. Mr. Gali, I can only wish you all the best in your new journey. By the end of the day, I have nothing against anyone Liberian, regardless of your party. I have mutual respect for all Liberians, and you know that. You and myself, back in the days, you came from the ALP. I've always been with the Unity Party. I have respect for all Liberians, regardless of your party. But I only wanted to say to Liberians, I have been very, very clear on my positions. We just need to be very careful and pay attention. And not everyone in this process is committed to fighting for you long term. Many of us are in this process to cash in on it. If I wanted to cash in, trust me, Mr. Gali, I would be somewhere far different from now. And you've known that. And you know that's one thing people in my party will tell you. Let me say this to the CDC. If the CDC want to win me, it's simple. Here's what you need to do. Move the Unity Party over to the CDC, then you might get George Lowe. But in the absence, until that happens, Mr. Gali, you have to make room for Ambassador Boaka if I'm coming, because he's going to believe my judgment. He's trust my position. So the CDC will have to make room. Maybe some of you will have to leave and all to accommodate us, because there will be too many of us that some of you won't even stay there. But you know that's impossible, plus cannot. It can never happen. So don't worry about it. I wish them all the best. Don't give it too much credence. Let the people sacrifice more cows. I would love to eat cow. I hope Mark can keep some cow when I come to Liberia, because I would like to eat cows as well.
And folks, just so you know, I'm having a very serious problem during Mr. Lobo live. So what I've been able to do is to read his lips. When he shows up, I know it's time for me to come in, but I'm having some a serious audio problem. I can't hear him, but I know he has stopped now. It's time for me to come in. Now, Mr. Lobo, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining up, this is Bridge Radio Africa. And of course, this is ASHFORD GARLEY Live. We have with us tonight Mr. George P. Lobo, an executive of the Unity Party USA, Tomorrow, we're going to play host to Mr. Wilbert Yancey. Mr. Yancey wants to be the next senator of Maryland County. He's a businessman turned politician. He will be in our studio tomorrow night and we'll have some tough questions for him. Mr. Lobo, what do you make of the recent violence under the leadership of President George Weah? This man claims to be peace ambassador. And I mean, the trouble in our country in terms of violence, in terms of rape, underage girls. What is your take, George?
Mr. Garley, first and foremost, let me begin once again and say this: the issue of rape in Liberia is unacceptable. Violence against women in our country is wrong, unacceptable, and I wish the government of the Republic of Liberia, under the leadership of George Weah, who they claim is the feminist president, will be able to take some drastic action which will serve as a deterrent to those thugs, those heartless, wicked guys who are raping people's sisters, young girls around the country. Having said that, Mr. Garley, on the issue of violence in Liberia, you have to look at the institution itself. I just defined for you what the CDC stands for. The CDC itself is the Center for Disgruntled Children, and as a result, that is how they came into power. The CDC hosted more protests than the entire two-way party combined. Even the guys from PA and Moja did not host the normal protests the CDC were able to host in Liberia in 12 years. No political party held that normal protest in the country within that short span. Having said that, the CDC came to power on the basis of thinking that they can bully people, they can disrupt normal activities, and that is how they show strength. For us in this 21st century, we've been very, very clear. Like I told my CDC friends, for George Lobo, you would not see George Lobo then trying to go in bushes to lay in ambush. I ain't doing that. As for I like to sleep on a very soft bed. So it's not happening. But I'm telling you, if the CDC is going to match our firepower, what the CDC needs to do now, rather than calling these low hooligans, these low thugs from one corner to another, they should begin to help them with books to read, help them to be informed, brighten their minds so that they can engage us on the intellectual battlefield. The time for picking up stones we tired, Mr. Barry. People pick up stones in 1979. People, so many different times people got into this. We are tired of it now. If you show you can beat us, let's come and let's exchange ideas. Make the case for your party. You want to resort into violence, Mr. Garley, when you do not have the ability to articulate your position as an intellectual. When a government goes to the pulpit to talk about how world is doing, when the people who pay their way to come to church have to pay 2 times what they were paying 2 years ago, that is how you know the government is terrible. For the CDC, they believe that this is how they show strength. For us, we do not believe in that. We are in the 21st century, Mr. Garley, where people are using robot now to communicate with people. It's so archaic for young men to call themselves intellectuals and be taking stones and throwing them at people. We want to sit at a debate. Let's meet at the Atayi centers. Let us meet at a town hall rally. Let's engage on the issues. Come there, come equipped. But when you're going to putting rocks in your bags and running behind people like some, we ain't got time for that, Mr. Garley. So, but here's what I think. The CDC government itself continue to support the act of violence in the country. And President Weah, I want you to know one thing. You have been blaming the opposition for your many failures. The culture of violence that you continue to support, it is not being done by the opposition. When there are international organizations in Liberia that are filing reports every time on your government. So if your government is hit with human rights sanctions down the line, it will not be the opposition. You don't need us. Your boys are doing everything to make sure that your government will go nowhere. Let me tell you what they want to do. We know the strategy. The CDC want us to retaliate so that they can use it as an excuse to say it was because of our actions that led to their failure. Look, listen, President Weah, whether we do something or we don't do anything, you will still fail. Your government failed a long time ago. The only person that think that you will do something are those citizens who live on Mars, They live in a fantasy world. That is why they believe that your government will go anywhere. Any normal person who knows what is happening can never even sit there and think that you will be able to turn this thing around. This government is the former government. President Weah is the former president. That is all I can say at this point. We are prepared come 2023 to make sure that we can retire George Weah from everything. Soccer, politics, and everything. We'll retire George come 2023. That's what we are prepared for.
Now, Mr. Lobo, there's something you do so well that a lot of politicians are not able to do. For example, you, you 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 have said this president is inept, he's unfair, but yet the top officials in his government are all your friends. When you are on here criticizing this president, you are a totally different guy. But you can pick up the phone and speak to Sir Joseph, speak to Sigu Kalasco, speak to Samuel Torre. But you are all about the issues. Now, that brings me to my next question. Why these politicians hold together when the little guys out there are fighting among themselves? In some instances, they want to kill each other. You know, what is that?
Mr. Gali, let me say thank you for that question. I have been very, very clear on the issues. I've been very clear that I was a Liberian before I joined the Liberian Action Party, then to the Unity Party. I will always be a Liberians. I see those guys as Liberians. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have to insult the president. I don't have to be disgruntled. I don't have to be rude to articulate my position. And they all understand where I stand on issues. I think I saw my friend Steven Johnson here. Steven Johnson and myself come from the same party. We play basketball together on SDA court. We used to go to video clubs on Ken Johnson Road. We'll come outside during halftime and have these soccer conversations. But he will tell you that Lobo is one person who is not going to hesitate to disagree. I make my positions known. Not that I will always win, but at the end of the day, I have nothing against anyone. One thing I want you to know, Mr. Gali, I maintain mutual respect for all Liberians, regardless of party or affiliations. Because at the end of the day, let me say this. Even if we in the opposition will lead Liberia, we have to be able to assure them that a Sekou Galasco, that when it's all said and done, when the CDC is being buried, that he can be able to call me and say, George, this is happening in my community. I want to bring it to your attention. That even the Sir Joseph can be able to trust me and say, George, you were my friend before. I have this problem. So they are Liberians. I don't want to build a society where George Lobo only belongs to Unity Party. No. This is why I have people from the ANC that will pick up phones and call me and say, my man, this is what I'm thinking about. What do you think? I have people in the ANC, when I talk to them, they say, George, we need you to stay in the Unity Party, because with you in the Unity Party, we have somebody in the party that we can be able to disagree with. But at the end of the day, for the good of the country, we can compromise on issues. So as far as I'm concerned, for me, the little guys don't understand what it's about, Mr. Gali. For them, it's about picking up the crumbs. For them, it's about feeding themselves today. For me, it's not about, if it was feeding myself today, Mr. Gali, trust me, it will be a different position. But at the end of the day, for me, it's not about eating my lunch now. What I believe in is for the greater good. You know me. I'm one guy who will go after people from within the opposition. For example, you know that with DeLong. And I'm not afraid to call people from my own organizations out. But at the end of the day, the greater good is what I stand for. What is in the interest of the country is a priority to me. And like I said to the CDC, I told Sir Joseph, he was on live a few days ago, that Sir will defeat you in Monserrato. And we crack joke. And I'm one person, you're right. I speak to Sir Joseph regularly. I speak to not only Sir Joseph, I have so many friends in government, Mr. Gali, to the point that I tell seditious that if you saw me in Monrovia and saw my friends, but that does not stop me from being a Liberian. That is not going to change me to go to party headquarters and go take off my shirt to get initiated. I don't have to go kill cow to meet Moluba Molu. No. If I want to meet Molu today, it will be a privilege for the CDC chairman and myself to sit down to be able to discuss national issues. I'm not going to meet Molu because I'm on my knees begging for daily bread. So that is the difference with me and many other people. The reason why they treat them the way they treat them is because they know what they stand for. The reason why Kalasco, when I say call me, he will call me, is because he understands what I stand for. And that is why that's the difference with me and many of them.
No, thank you for the very brilliant response, Mr. Lobo. Now, what is the plan for the CPP uh, in 2020 and 2023? Bring us up to speed.
So, Mr. Gali, let me be very clear. We are in a political contest, so you might not be able to get a lot of details from me because that's something I should know better on. Revealing our full strategy here would not be a smart thing to do as an executive or as any smart politician. But I can say one thing to you very clear. Uh, we are going to defeat the CDC heavily. We intend to inflate casualty on the CDC, one that might tell President Weah that it will be better to resign before 2023 because the injury they might sustain come this December might be so severe that they might be seeking treatment for the next 2 years until their time run out. And I'm gonna tell you, Mr. Gali, I've been very, very clear. I intend to spend money to buy a casket where we'll bury the CDC come 2023. That is some commitment that I'm gonna fulfill. We intend. The CDC has no match for us. Let me be very clear to the CDC. The chance for you to win us is on us. If we decide not to do our homework, then you can win us. But if we move our troops on the front, if we bring our forces out, if all our intellectuals and our generals will show up on the front, the CDC don't have men to stand us. Let me tell you, Mr. Gali, Samuel 12 going to church to carry slideshow, there's a joke. If Minister 12 wants to really take on and discuss the Liberian economy, let him bring the opposition. Let them send Samuel Wolokoli. Come to Preach Radio. Let's do a joint session. Let's discuss the budget. Let's talk about government performance. And listen, Mr. Gali, it is different when you speak to citizens and lie to them. When you here's what is going to happen come December. The CDC already is telling a false narrative. What we are prepared to do, and I can assure you, we intend to move on the CDC come December. And we are going to make it very, very clear. Some of us are committed to making sure that our feet will not just be abroad, but to put troops on the ground, meaning we'll be on the ground, and our forces will respond to any force that the CDC, any fire the CDC send our way, we shall reply fire or move fire. And we are prepared for it. So on the issue of let's take 2020, we can come back after 2020 to discuss 2023 because I can tell you, Mr. Gali, the CDC to reach us 2023 is a myth. I will tell you one thing. The 2023 election is beyond us. We defeat the CDC. The CDC can bring in your Gabriel to contest with George. We'll defeat them. That's just not something we have to waste our time on. We are going to defeat the CDC. Our goal for this coming December election, we know what we want to win. We know there are 15 seats up for grab, and our goal is very simple. And we have bigger plans. And as a result of that, we are going to move our troops. We are going to distribute and allocate our resources where they are needed. We will place our artillery and our forces where they should be because we intend to respond and reply fire or more fire. And so I can only say to you, if you're a sedition, if you are a sedition, the only place to take cover is to your party headquarters because sooner or later, you might not be able to stand us. So you'll get more cows, you'll get more people to initiate people to your headquarters, you'll do that because you stand no chance against us. Come this December, we plan to defeat you people, and we'll definitely make that promise come true, Mr. Nabi.
Mr. Lobo, I want you to share some of your secret with us. I'm pretty sure there's something that keeps you on at night, about Liberia. What is more important to you?
Mr. Gali, let me say thank you very much for such a brilliant question. When I'm at home, many people call me and want to know what I'm doing. What keeps me up at night, Mr. Gali, is the continent of Africa. To be specific, my own home country, Liberia. Mr. Gali, when I was in school, I took a class, it was History 360. In that class, it was completely all about the civil rights movement. In that class, I got to read about Rosa Parks, the Montgomery bus boycott, the Little Rock, Arkansas episode, the March on Selma, all those things. The March on Washington, all of those things. And one thing, Mr. Gali, I was in class that day, and someone stood up and said, they said when the slaves left from here and went to Liberia, they said they enslaved those who they met. Mr. Gale, imagine I was sitting at the back of the class, and this boy was talking about Liberia so brilliantly, and I was sitting there. And I waited for him, and as soon as he concluded, and then I put my hand up to speak. And then I told the entire class that the country you just discussed is where I was born, it's where I grew up, it's where I came. And as a matter of fact, I left that country December 27, 2006. I said, boy, what you said is not true. I said, I grew up there. And someone asked me, they said, will you ever go back to Liberia, George? And I said, yes. And they said, why do you want to go back? And I said one thing to them, Mr. Gale. I said, I want to go back to Liberia because I want the next generation of Liberians will send abroad. I want when they sit in class with you people, when they're talking about a country that is prospering, when they're talking about a country where unemployment is below 3%, when they talk about a country where income inequality is at its lowest, I want them to stand up in the class and say, that is where I come from. And it can't happen if we always stay here. And on the basis of that, I must go back to make that goal come true. And I say that to say, Mr. Gale. So when I'm home, the few days you see on Facebook, I begin to read more about the continent. Right now, I'm reading a book which talks about making Africa work. What is it all about, Mr. Gale? That book specifically is focused on population growth. It is talking about where Africa will be as a continent in 2050. What do we need to do as a continent? How can we create jobs for the young population, knowing that by 2050, Africa will have the youngest population? How can we be able to provide a society that our young brothers and sisters can be able to earn income for themselves? Europe have developed, Asia have developed. It is left for us now. We will soon have the biggest market in the world. Where can my country, Liberia, be placed? How do we make ourselves competitive in making Africa work? So those are the things that keep me up. Not about Christmas Sally getting initiated. Not Mike Jabate killing cows. I'm not worried about that. Those are the things that keep me up at night. That is what is important to me. Not the other things. Not about CDC at the party airport or drinking beer and dancing. Doesn't bother me. I'm concerned about the growth of my country and the future of those young people. 28,000 young men are in the street, Mr. Gale. You can never build a vibrant society with 28,000 young men homeless in the streets on drugs. Those are things that bother me. That is what keeps me up every night. So that is my major concern, Mr. Gale.
Now, now finally, before we call this a night, we're having some serious audio problem. Again, I'm reading your lips. I can hear you. So we are going to just prematurely and the show tonight shortly. But folks, don't forget to join us tomorrow. We're going to play host to Mr. Wilbert Yancey. He wants to be the next senator of Maryland County. He's a businessman turned politician. And Mogba Yoko is here. Emmanuel God, my younger brother, is also here. Grace Andrews and the rest of the folks. Franklin Malia, Louis Gongben, Emmanuel D. Ayumano. There's also here. Esther Connor is here. So again, then on Wednesday we're gonna have Miss Risk. Miss Risk is a Liberian immigrant from Liberia, based out of Colorado. She wants to be representative of District 40 and in Aurora, Colorado. She will be here Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Then at 9 p.m. we'll have Mr. Samuel Jackson, the economist. Samuel Jackson will be here Wednesday night as well. And of course, as always, on Thursday we'll have Quincy T and all that good stuff. Now, Mr. Lobo, finally, December is very vital. People will be making decisions, and this is a break or make movement for CDC. As you hear them, they are saying there's no way. What about Hooker Crook? They want to regain Monserrato. Now, my question to you, Mr. Lobo, what are your plans in going to Liberia in December?
Mr. Gade, as you are aware, My travels are now one of a regular travel. There are a lot of things that goes into that. The issue of logistics, the issue of security is important. With a government of such a kind, with a government that is clandestine, that is known for intimidating, harassing opposition members. So those are things that I'm considering. One thing I can assure the Liberian people and supporters of the draft and Liberians in the diaspora, many of them who have committed to supporting that initiative, because they believe that it is important that I do go out, go back home to offer my support to the opposition. I will be going to Liberia. Now, what I will not be able to do for you, as it relates to security concerns, is how, when, and the exact hours. But I can assure the oppositions, once everything is finalized, I shall be in the Republic of Liberia to be able to offer CDC what it deserves. Let me be very clear with you, Mr. Gali. The CDC have not learned a lesson. The CDC don't know how to do math. That's one problem they have. So we are not surprised at the CDC. The CDC is one party that have continued to cry that that elections have been stolen from them. Uh, they go to election knowing that the rule makes it very clear that you must win 50% plus one. The CDC goes to an election in Georgia, we accumulate 39% or 35%. Sedition said it stole the election from them because they got 35%, and the other parties who contested with them didn't win 35%. Not knowing that the elections in Liberia is not a simple majority. So I hope they bring their mathematical skills to use. Because as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Gali, and I want to be very, very clear to my fellow citizens. The CDC stands no chance against us. That's not something to brag about. President Weah can get on the campaign trail. If he wants to prove us wrong, I will recommend let the CDC line up 5 good young men and let the opposition line up 5 good young men and let's meet at the Morovia City Hall and let Liberians turn out to watch, or we can go to SKD and we show them exactly why they would never win election. They won't do that. They believe that they will be running behind people with rocks. We ain't got time to be. As for God, man. We ain't going to Morovia to be running behind people with rocks. We intend to take the media. We intend to go to the radio stations to make sure we make the case for the reason why the CPP is the way forward. So I think the only thing they're going to have to do once George Lobo gets to Morovia is maybe to close most of the radio stations. But the good thing about it, you can close many radio stations. Hopefully, I carry enough roaming minutes. I still will go live from my phone. And I intend to go all across the country. So the CDC needs to really get prepared because it's going to be a tough one for them. And I know what to do and I know how to do it and I can do it effectively. And that is one thing I can tell you. We'll definitely give the CDC what it deserves.
Okay. The tough talking Mr. George Lobo. And folks, I'm afraid we're going to call this a night. We're having some serious audio issues. I wanted to open the telephone lines, but I won't hear the call up. So it just doesn't make any sense in doing that. So, Mr. Lobo, finally, in closing, what will be your closing statement?
Let me say something real quick. I'm sorry that Mr. Gali, we didn't make this show interactive. I hope you can be able to redeem yourself. I think our CPP partisans members deserve this. I hope we can be able to schedule something. You and I will work on it sometime next week. I definitely must be able to give the message to our people. I wanted to say to all of you, Bridge Radio is a self-funded radio station, and Mr. Gali have been doing a very good job. I always like to call on all of you. Mr. Gali, I didn't see your Cash App number up here today. I think it's because of the issue and the show not lasting that long. But I want to say to all of you who follow the show, whatever you can chip in at least, please. If we don't want to lose all our people, we have to begin to support them. My Jabata told you, he said, "You think I can't eat? You all want to be in America, so please." I want to appeal to all of you. Anything can help.
I don't think it's like. Let me see if I can put a cash out there real quick, but now that you said that,
I mean,
let me see if I can do that real quick.
But at least whatever way we can support each other. I want to make sure
Uh,
the government don't come running to YouTube before they go initiate you. That one, but I don't want coming to the party headquarters to go take you from there. That would be the first time I enter the CDC headquarters. I know I used to pass around there when we used to go to Bona Beach. I don't know how we get to Bona Beach anymore, but if that is the case, then I forgot we have to go for you. So, folks, I want to say to all of you Liberians, please, I will give it the next, Mr. Gali, I want us to give it at least the next 5-10 minutes. Let our people be able to at least make some contributions to you. I want to say thanks to all of you for following. Whatever you can contribute, we got to make, because we want, when we tell Mr. Gardner we want to come on this platform, so he can say, oh, the people from the draft. Once George Lobo shows up, it's a different ball game. So please, whatever you can be able to, that is the Cash App number. Mr. Gardner has been very good to us. He has been there. We show up on this platform. I don't have to pay. What happened?
Let's do that. You're a great fundraiser, so I'm not surprised.
I don't have to pay anything. He always the platform has been made available to us. We always coming on here. And Mr. Guy, I hope you can be able to redeem yourself, because you owe my people this. This is the first interview since the break. I've been on break, and this is the first interview.
That's right.
I think seditions don't want to hear me talking.
And that's what the cash out is on there is 248-979-1718. Like I always say, George, any day what they can put a fire.
Seditions don't like it. One of my CDs.
Somebody say, listen, George. Somebody say, I think that GT, you say you can hear that one. Listen, like I said, I'm just reading this guy's lips. I don't know what's going on with man. But when I hear Cash, I can relive. So when I hear Cash, I say, well, then I think I heard that one.
The other day, a friend of mine from the city, he said, George, let me be honest with you. We are happy if you don't do anything. I said, what do you mean? He said, we will be fine if you don't go live. When you go live, you cause a lot of problems, because you know what to say, you know how to say it. And when you said the same thing, Mr. Gali, I was like, they say, Mr. Gali, someone is saying they would like to contribute.
And on a very serious note, Mr. Lobo, I want to do this as a condolence straight for Mr. Abu Bibito Fofana. He just lost his father in Africa, and as a matter of fact, his father was buried today. My sympathy, and please take this from the management staff of British Radio Africa, Mr. Abu Bibito Fofana. Our condolences to you and your family. Okay, stay strong, brother.
Mr. Gali, one Tano, Basa say he's in Norway. How can he contribute? Is it through MoneyGram or Western Union to you? How does it work? Let me say this, then you can hear me. Let me send you my number. You can call me, and then anything you send through me, I will ask for. Will definitely get it. Let me send you my number. Call me, and then we'll talk. And then maybe when I get it, give it to ask for. Western Union MoneyGram 623-329-0679. That's my number. You can call me, or you can call me on Facebook. Let me tell him. You can call me on Facebook. You can call me on Facebook as well. Anything you give, I will send it to Ashford. So, Mr. Gali, how is it going? How are people responding? Please, I want to beg all of you. You don't have to give us $50. You don't have to give Mr. Gali $100. Every little dirty water, like you say, can cut off fire. I don't want to leave from here at least. The 1 hour we spend here, this is this time in America. It's difficult right now. We want to be supportive so that the next time we come here to propagate opposition message, Mr. Gali can't just be bringing only CD chance here. So at least the place can be open to us. And I want to say thank you on that. To those of you who have given already, I want to say thanks to those of you who have contributed, and those who are planning to, please help us do it. Mr. Gali, how we doing? I know he can't hear me like he said. He's looking at his Cash App.
So far, we've only heard from one person, Gertrude Freeman, and Gertrude want to say a big thank you to you for your contribution. As always, without all of you, we wouldn't be here, and that's why we try our best to
I want to start calling him.
to not take sides, to make sure we're here for the Liberian people
Let me
because
let me start with
the government, the opposition, they don't have money for us. You
no,
know,
we can't pay you, Mr. Kali.
you know, we try our best, self-funded, and
Listen,
everything is on us. So again, I want to say a big thank you to all of you as always. Steve Bowley is in the building. Tanu Nakole,
Esther Kone, Esther,
that
my
side is
people,
also here.
Esther, I want to see you there. My man Emmanuel, uh, all of you, comfort, all of you. Uh, I want to say thanks to all of you for everything you've done. My man Bill Carson, Alana King. Alana King likes the president, but he's a very big fan of mine. Atlanta, Felicia Davis, all of your visit the main cash app. Luis, y'all need to do something for Mr. Gale, please. Mr. Gale, let me see based on what happened. Augustine Tamba is say you are a true soldier. No, for me, I stand for the CPP. Mr. Gale, where we are? Let me see what my sister says. Oh God. So Margaret just sent me something about some notorious rapist.
Okay, hey Josh, we're gonna call this a night, and of course
All
we'll
right,
be back here tomorrow evening, the same time, same place. Where we'll have Mr. Wilbert Jensen will be in our studio tomorrow night. Again, as always, I want to say a big thank you to you, George. Is there anything else you want to say just before we?
All right. I want to say thanks to all of you, my fellow Liberians, for taking up your time. Like Mr. Gale said, we may have had system problem, technical difficulties. I want to say thank you very much. And Mr. Gale, I want to say thank you for the opportunity once again. To all our CPB members, we have to stay resilient. We have to be strong. We are stronger together. We are going to be able to win this. We have to keep on fighting. It's going to take all of us efforts. At this particular point in time, I want to encourage all of you Liberians. This is not going to happen with you just talking on Facebook and folding your hands. Your $20, $30, $40, $50. Whatever way you can help will make a difference. If you sit back and do nothing, and after the election you want to start asking yourself, oh, what could I have done? How could I have done it? That is not how we move forward. Right now, you don't have to take on the initiative, but every little change will help. I also want to take this time to inform you my decision to go to Liberia. It is an intention to go and embark on a massive voter education through civic education program. That is not going to happen overnight. That is not going to happen by one person taking the initiative. That has to happen because all of us collectively made it happen. And I want to say to all of you, to my brothers and sisters in Liberia, I understand the challenges that you are going through. I understand the difficulties that you are going through during this government of President William. While violence is on the increase, rape is on the rampage, the rule of
Thank
law
you.
is not respected. Thanks to all of you. Be strong. We can make it. Thank you, Mr. Gali. Thank you for the time. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. That's the voice. Thank you so much, Mr. Lobo. Enjoy the rest of the night. And folks, I'm afraid it's all the time I have to be with you. As always, remember, please allow me to borrow the wordings of the wise man. Tough times don't last, tough people do. The height of a man is never known until he rises, and there's no second chance to make that first impression. Don't see okra and hollow bone because you can't hide your nakedness from bathing bucket. When God bless you, don't see that medicine. When women know your friend Black Man. This has been yours truly, the voice, the golden voice of Liberia, the medicine of the microphone, the one who own it. As for the giant, just sit to pay give Zebon Blood and I just call me, Chilaji, would no muzo, the one you mad the vote to right. I do wapo. Hey man, have enjoy the rest of the night. As for the giant garlic, have a great night.